Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and today I'll be reviewing Doctor Who The Underwater Menace. You know, it took at least 7 stories for William Hartnell to have his first not-so-great story, and another story to then have a dud afterwards. In my opinion, I thought The Reign of Terror was William Hartnell's first dud, and I think The Censor Rights was weak, but not as bad as Reign of Terror. I thought it was okay, and then Reign of Terror was just no. But Hartnell's first 6 stories were ranged between great and brilliant. But then Reign of Terror, Censor Rights first wasn't that great, and then Reign of Terror was a dud. Patrick Troughton, his 3rd story is a dud, and this is following a okay 2nd story. Things are not looking that well for Patrick Troughton, nor for season 4, which has been doing fine so far. I mean, along with the Highlanders, the Smugglers was pretty good, was alright, and 10th Planet and Powder Darks were both great. But we've got this one now. We've got The Underwater Menace. First of all, I'm glad that episode 2 is back in the archives. I'm excited. I'd be excited for all of the space pirates being found, and that's the worst story of all time. So, yeah. So at least episode 2 of this story survives, and if episodes 1 and 4 are found, even better. I'll get round to the reconstruction version on this release, this DVD release, in a bit, but I'll give you a taste of my opinions. BBC, bad BBC. I agree with my friends Matt. Matt especially. I think maybe Jean and maybe Ben from the Whoniversals as well. Certainly Matt, at least. He thinks this reconstruction is awful. And I would like to agree with him after rewatching this story. I mean, the first time I watched it, I don't think I noticed that much. But second time, fuck that reconstruction. And I then had to go and I went to see had a look at Loose Cannon's reconstructions of the 2 missing episodes, just to see how it was better, and also that helped me. Loose Cannon's reconstructions of episodes 1 and 4 helped me understand what was actually happening in the episodes. I had a better understanding of what was going on, and they didn't have those black bits on the sides. It wasn't curved corners and black bits around it. It was normal photographs. And they did a really great job on that. But BBC, it was shit. We'll see how the Web of Fears one compares. I don't think they did that. I think the Web of Fear was a proper reconstruction. This was, we'll go back to this reconstruction, but I think it was, my thoughts was it was lazy. Story. Even with Loose Cannon's reconstruction helping me with the story, I thought the story was pretty weak. Okay, let's back up here. Professor Zaroff, our main villain, he's supposedly trying to raise Atlantis from the ocean. Get used to this, having so many Atlantises in Doctor Who's in the early years. There's even a joke about it in The Magician's Apprentice. There's 3 different versions. Yay! 2 of them come 2 seasons in a row. We'll get to those in a bit. In a few seasons' time. But here, Zaroff is trying to raise Atlantis, and he's turning people into fish to help, and he's getting this culture and some scientists just doing some. The culture is doing culture stuff, and all that worship and religious stuff that you'll get from ancient Greek and Roman and all those type of peoples. Meanwhile, Zaroff and his scientists are trying to raise it. However, Zaroff is actually trying to blow up the world for some reason. His excuse is, why not? That's his one excuse. That's his excuse. Why not? I mean, there's a difference between doing something because you can, or because it's never been done before, or because you want to, and then there's just stuff like that, where it's just shit. Yeah. I did a review for the film Yona Twice earlier today. I don't know if it's gone out already or if it's going out after this review, but I reviewed Yona Twice, and that film had some people coming to see the main villain, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, about getting America and Russia to have a war with each other. So Spectre causing World War III, to be precise. Spectre, the organisation. I don't know who the powers were, but they didn't exactly... Their reasoning was so that they can emerge as a superpower, I suppose. But that's the least... That's not much of a reason. And if we stick with the film series, the James Bond film series, as Twice is part of, further down the line in the film Tomorrow Never Dies, we've got the main villain Elliot Carver and his organisation just basically trying to cause a war between the United Kingdom and China, and then gets this Chinese guy, General Chang, in as the leader of China after blowing up Beijing and blaming it on the British as part of the war, and have General Chang come in and organise a truce between the countries and become a world leader with a Nobel Peace Prize. And Carver gets... the thing that Carver gets out of it is ratings. His news outlet is allowed broadcast rights in China for the next 100 years. As that will be he would eventually be able to reach every single person on the planet, as China was the only place they would not let broadcast rights. Surprised North Korea would. But, oh well. Actually, maybe did he pick the wrong country to talk about, but never mind. Probably more because of the Hong Kong handover thing rather than anything else. But anyway, so in that film, Carver basically just wanted to help cause a war and get General Chang into office so he could have broadcast rights in China for the next century. So yeah, Carver's motive isn't that great, and I would also say not so much great motive for the ones in Twice Spectres. They're doing it because they're fulfilling a promise, but the other guys, they want to be a world superpower. Fair enough, but that's it. Yeah, and we don't even know that much about them. They're secrets, guys. I even tried theorising who they could be. I thought it'd probably most likely be China. Chinese government agents or Japanese government agents. But I don't know. We don't find out. So, yeah. And here again, Zaroff, his reasoning. Blow up the Earth because why not? I'll tell you why not, Zaroff. Because you'll then destroy every single life on the planet. Including yours, you fucking idiot. Give yourselves a sarcastic round of applause, you fucking idiot. Not to mention, this story isn't that interesting. I mean, it's fun seeing the main characters and their friends doing some stuff, trying to get out of the situations and helping each other out and trying to stop Zaroff and even trying to kidnap him in part 3. But the main plot isn't that great. It's not that interesting. I actually found the Highlanders plot a bit more interesting, and that wasn't that much better. In fact, now that after watching the Underwater Menace and after what I said in the Highlanders review, talking about that just before watching this story, and saying how that was the last historical, how some people weren't interested, but if they were going to do something like that every time, then yeah, it makes sense that they would stop it. But now, after watching this story, I think actually, you know what, you may have made a mistake. It might have been better to have kept some historical stories in there if we could have lost stories like this. I mean, they're not that much more interesting, but it's at least more notable for being and also more generic. But at least we know the formula. This one supposed to be a fun sci-fi adventure, and also got a kind of a Bondy-esque, a bit, as I was talking about Bond earlier, kind of a Bondy-esque spy thriller in a way, or an espionage thriller in a way. It's got a bit of a Bond feel in some places, trying to stop this mad scientist from blowing up the Earth. But we'll get much better Bond elements in a more Bondian story that's coming up next season, and also some elements in John Pertwee's era. Just to me, this just felt a little bit Bondy in some places, but not quite as good as the other story that does this, The Enemy of the World, which is far superior than this. So, Matt, you'll be happy to know about that, as well as in some places of the John Pertwee era. Also, compared to some of the Bond films, most of the Bond films are much better than this. There's some weaker ones. Yona Twice is one of the stronger ones than this. That was the one I was talking about earlier. That's why I brought that one up. But yeah, so the fish people's designs here, they're actually pretty interesting. They're okay. I like those. I mean, it's not that much interesting, but they look okay. Looks good. They're not that well utilised though. I mean, there's not much. There's just there. I mean, Polly's almost turned into one. And then later they're used to help her blockade and not deliver the food. But apart from that, that's about it. You could have just had people in scuba gear, or people having adapted to the water thing without having to become fish. Although the fish people, that becoming a fish probably does help. But you've also got other types of fish people as well in there as well. I think. Let's see if the well, we only see the other fish. I mean, some people who are part way there at least. So, yeah, I'm getting a bit dull with this. I will say this, the performances are all great. The guy who plays Professor Zaroff is having it up no end, especially in the cliffhanger for part 3. Patrick Troughton's performance has gotten even better. I thought he did great performances in the previous 2, but I think he's got it. He's finally got what is to be his doctor. He's had a good first 2 story run, and now he's kind of got the groove. I would say Hartnell, it took less time for Troughton. I think Hartnell had to get until Marco Polo, if not the Keys of Marinus, to get the groove of his doctor. But Troughton, I think, gets it by this point. Jamie is a great character in this. He doesn't get a huge amount to do, but he's still pretty good because he was hastily brought on board as well, and some of Ben's lines and roles were given to Jamie. But that being said, and in the next story he gets knocked out for half the episode, but he does a good job in this story, and he's well utilised for parts of it. And yeah, despite having half of Ben's stuff transferred to him and Ben being rewritten a little bit as well, he still does a great job. Polly also does some good stuff as well, but there are points where she is on the sidelines or not doing much. But in other cases, she is right in centre trying to help. And I think this also goes the same for the next story as well. But yeah, this is just, the story just isn't that interesting, and and the reconstruction fucking sucks for the official BBC release. It just looks so lazily hitched together. You just get picture shots, have some audio playing, maybe change every other minute or two, but it doesn't always line up with the character speaking or the event happening. It just doesn't, they don't work. It's not so bad with episode 4, but episode 1 is just awful in terms of its reconstruction. 4 is also awful, but it's slightly better. Slightly. I think it's not as bad as the first ones, but still, it's not very good. The reconstructions by Loose Cannon are better. They're similar to what I've been watching with the other missing episodes, and having to watch the reconstructions. Not so much the Highlanders. That was another one I had to do. I had to watch because I didn't find Loose Cannons. It was somebody else's. But Loose Cannons definitely for all the other ones, besides the ones with animated episodes. So those were better reconstructions, and I actually understood what was going on and actually liked a little bit more. However, they still can't save the story. Neither reconstructions nor surviving episodes or animated episodes would save this story. I do think the better reconstructions and also found episode or animated episode would help even better, but they can't save the story, and it just doesn't work. With the reconstruction of this one, it just sounds like an audio, but not made for audio, so it doesn't work like Big Finish's one. Doesn't really work, and the same could be said for the audios of the Crusade and the Moonbase's missing episodes on the Lost in Time DVD with just one or a few pictures. And the reconstructions help, or in this Moonbase's case as well, animated version help fix that. Here, it's basically the same, except you get more pictures. You got more pictures, you can hear what's going on, but it sounds like it's more of an audio rather than a reconstruction. And instead, it's an audio with pictures. Whilst the reconstructions actually have more pictures that will display characters or what's going on, and they will also have the text at the bottom telling us what's going on. But here, no, they don't do that. It's audio with some pictures. The titles, they don't even bother with the titles. The title sequence is just a picture of the logo and some music, and the same with the end credits. They just leave it on the last image, with the exception of the producer and director credits at the very end. And also they do have the credit for the title of the story, which episode it is, and who's writing it. But besides that, it's just fuck shit. That's my reaction, by the way. That wasn't a blooper. So yeah, the Underwater Menace's reconstructions were shit. I mean, if they had more time, maybe they could have put a better reconstruction together. I mean, it was scheduled for October 2015, after they couldn't get Planet 55 to animate the missing episodes. So I'm guessing, because the DVD was originally cancelled in by 2015, and when they were doing, Doctor Magazine were doing their 3-part DVD, video and Blu-ray featurette in summer of 2015, they mentioned the DVD had been cancelled. And this was the cover art for it. However, a little bit later on, it was confirmed to be coming with this cover art. And previously includes previously unreleased episode 2. However, I think the reconstruction was hastily put together. It's like they didn't have enough time to do it, like when they found missing episodes and they restored them for DVD and screenings, DVD releases and screenings to be shown, and the same for the animated episodes. I feel like they put time in to do them before they announced them, to restore or create them, and then they would carry on, and then they'd announce them. Here's a bit of what we've got. We're going to do a bit of more touch-ups before we release it. And here you go. Doesn't it look good? Here, that doesn't happen. I think they announced it before they finished it, and it just doesn't work. Maybe the Web of Fear Part 3's reconstruction has a similar thing. I didn't notice last time I watched it. I'll be checking it out again soon, hopefully. Well, yeah, eventually, at least. But certainly for this, and I think it's by the same person who did the Web of Fear Part 3's reconstruction. So yeah, and we owe him a lot for finding those episodes of Web of Fear 2 and 4 to 6, and Enemy of the World 2 to 6, as well as other copies of 1, 2, and 4 to 6. No, I was right. 3's the surviving one. So we owe him a lot for finding the surviving episodes of the Enemy of the World and the Web of Fear, and to have new copies of the surviving ones, and having 2 complete stories until one of the episodes was stolen. So we only have 1 complete story and a near complete story. Typical. But the edit and his editing on the Web of Fear episode 3 reconstruction. Again, if they waited a bit longer, they could have animated it. But yeah, the Underwater Menace, he just didn't reconstruct it very well. It's not good. And the story's not good. A better reconstruction could have saved it. Like Loose Cannons not saved it, made it better at least, though. So after all of that, here's my conclusion. The Underwater Menace is easily Patrick Troughton's weakest story, and we haven't even got further than 3 stories into his era. We're not going to get a weaker story for a good long time. I think all of season 5 is probably better. I think so. At least we'll see when we get back round to the winning space. But I think the next worst story that's going to come from Patrick Troughton's era will be the Dominators, starting off season 6. 6 is a bit of a mixed bag in overall, to be honest, but honestly, this is easily the weakest from season 4. Easily the weakest Patrick Troughton pre-Dominators story. We'll see how season 5 does turn out, though. And yeah, very disappointing. Disappointing first proper story for Jamie, as he wasn't a companion in the previous one until the very end. So for his first story as a companion, it's disappointing. Yeah, and it's just not that great. And fucking awful reconstruction on the official BBC DVD release. Hopefully there'll be a special edition with animated versions, or at least a better reconstruction, coming out in the not too distant future. Certainly by the time they do the season 4 Blu-ray box set, they've got to make it better. So, yeah, that's my conclusion, and I'm going to give this story a 5 out of 10. There is some good stuff, like the performances, the set design looks pretty good, and the characters do have some stuff to do. And despite having a shit motive, Zaroff is a pretty camp and enjoyable to watch villain, and the actor does a really great job. How the Doctor knows about him, I'm not sure, but oh well. And also another thing, going back to the Bond thing, the underwater scenes, they're as bad as Thunderbolts, but there's not as much of it. So that's one thing this has over Thunderball, which had a higher score, 6. Out of 6 out of 10, this is only a 5. But one thing this one does better than Thunderball is the underwater sequences aren't as long and slow and boring, but they are long and slow as boring, just there's not as much of them as in Thunderball. Then again, in Thunderball, stuff was actually going on. So, yeah. So that's the Underwater Menace. Easily the worst Troughton story at this point in time. Next time we're going to be looking at probably the best Patrick Troughton story at the current time, the Moonbase. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. And Patrick Troughton has, not only has he done a great